The Plain of Raphia, June 22, 217 BC. The sun is a hammer. Two of the largest armies ever assembled in the Hellenistic world stare at each other across a few hundred meters of scorched earth. On one side, Ptolemy IV, king of Egypt, with 75,000 men. On the other, Antiochus the Great, lord of the Seleucid Empire, with 68,000. The tips of their sarissas glitter like a million tiny mirrors. But here is the thing about Raphia. The real terror is not the phalanx. Listen. First, a low, rhythmic thumping, the sound of 100 heartbeats hammering inside your chest. Then a trumpet blast that could wake the dead and send them running for cover. War elephants. Antiochus has 102 of them. Asian giants, shipped all the way from India. Ptolemy has only 73, smaller, scruffier, captured from the forests of Africa. For the first time in history, the two species are about to tear into each other. Asia versus Africa. Size versus desperation. And the fate of the eastern Mediterranean hangs on which beast blinks first. Now, you might ask, what on earth possessed Hellenistic kings to turn elephants into tanks? For a long time, the Greeks had no idea what to make of these creatures. Even Herodotus, that cheerful gossip, thought elephants were just fairy tales, wild monsters living at the edge of the world. Then came Alexander. At Gaugamela in 331 BC, the Persian king Darius lined up 15 elephants against the Macedonians, enough to terrify anyone. Luckily for Alexander, the beasts barely got involved. They stood around looking impressive, then got captured in the Persian camp. The real shock came 5 years later, in India. There, Alexander saw what an elephant could do when it meant business. He developed tactics to stop them. But he also fell in love. He minted coins, showing himself wearing a helmet made of elephant skin. He created a new officer rank, the Elephantarch. And when he died in 323 BC, his generals looked at each other and thought the same thing. He who has the most elephants wins. Thus began the ancient world's most bizarre arms race. Seleucus Nicator, the wiliest of the Diadochi, pulled off the deal of the century. In 305 BC, he traded some worthless borderlands to the Indian king Chandragupta. In return, he received 500 war elephants. 500! That was not an army, that was a natural disaster. Seleucus crushed every rival in sight, built a massive elephant training center at Apamea in Syria, and his descendants, including Antiochus the Great, never looked back. Except they forgot about Egypt. The Ptolemies had no access to India. But they had Africa, and they had a plan. Ptolemy Philadelphus and his son launched a vast, costly, and frankly insane program to capture African forest elephants along the Red Sea coast, in what is now Sudan and Eritrea. They built hunting stations. One of them, Ptolemy's Theron, was founded by a Greek named Eumedes, who secretly enclosed a peninsula with a ditch and a wall, and then charmed the local troglodytes into becoming his friends. The Greeks managed. The locals hunted. And the hunting was brutal. The troglodytes had killed elephants for generations. But the Ptolemies wanted live animals. So the troglodytes learned new tricks, pit traps and stockades. Trained elephants helped to round up the wild ones. Then the captives were loaded onto ships and sailed up the Red Sea, a terrifying voyage of reefs and shallows, where one wrong turn could drown a fortune in ivory and flesh. In Egypt, the real work began. At first, the Ptolemies hired Indian trainers. Then they trained their own, though they still called them Indians because branding is everything. The elephants were desensitized to humans with treats, and the ankus, a nasty hooked stick. They were subjected to drums, shouting, clashing weapons, so they would not panic in battle. And just before the charge, they were given strong wine or fermented juice. So the Battle of Raphia began with the elephants. The two herds crashed together on the flanks, and then the awful truth became clear. Ptolemy's African elephants were not just smaller, they were much smaller, shoulder high to the Asian beasts. and when they saw those towering Indian monsters bearing down on them, they panicked. They turned and ran, straight through their own infantry. The Egyptian left wing dissolved into a stampede of terrified pachyderms and crushed men. Antiochus must have smiled. Victory, surely. But history loves irony. While the elephants were busy losing the battle, Ptolemy's mercenary phalanx, those tough, grimy Greek professionals, held the line. They pushed forward. They rolled up the Seleucid flank. By the end of the day, Antiochus was retreating, and Ptolemy, who had nearly been trampled by his own beasts, was the victor. After Raphia, the Ptolemies quietly abandoned their African elephant program. Too expensive, too unreliable. But the Red Sea settlements did not vanish. They found a new purpose: spices from India, ivory, tortoiseshell, wild animal skins from Africa. The military budget became a trade route. And the elephants? They presented a lesson that every king should have known. In war, as in love, size is not everything. Sometimes it is the smaller, scrappier bastard who wins the day.
If you enjoy our short informative video, put your like and subscribe. Do not miss our upcoming videos. We may be a bit awkward, but we always manage to have a good time and find joy in the little things.